Today, we will be discussing the film Green Book, directed by Peter Farrelly. To begin, I will be discussing its cinematography. Green Book uses a variety of different shots and lighting changes to visually express and emphasize the subtler details of the story being told on screen. The camera work in Green Book can be used to suggest or emphasize information about the characters. For example, we understand that Lip is the main character before he even begins speaking. The filmmakers are able to emphasize his presence and importance as the main character by having his red uniform stand out and by focusing on him through a tracking shot. Later on, camera work is even used to emphasize Lip's ability to fight, which is information the audience needs to know to understand Dr. Shirley's motivations for hiring him. When Lip throws out the man who is causing trouble within the Copa, a low-angle long shot is used to make him look powerful. He's also centered on screen, and the yellow-white of the building behind him emphasizes his silhouette, making him an imposing figure that sticks in our head. Camera work is also used to capture Lip and Shirley's dynamic. For example, when Lip and Shirley first meet at the interview, Shirley is shot from a low angle and Lip is shot at a high angle. It makes it seem like Shirley has more power in this situation. However, when Lip rejects the job and the camera follows him as he stands up, we can see the power dynamic shift as the camera switches from a high angle to a normal angle. Although the scene begins by implying that there's an unbalanced power dynamic, by the end we can see that in actuality they both need each other for different reasons. Another example is how Lip and Shirley's relationship progression is represented visually. In the first car scene, we see Shirley sitting behind Lip. It makes the shot seem unbalanced, emphasizing the lack of harmony in the scene and in their relationship. Compared to later, when they've gotten to know each other better, Shirley and Lip sit on opposite sides, making the shot and their relationship feel balanced. Lighting is utilized to set up the tone of a scene and to showcase the character's inner thoughts and emotions. For example, we get to know Lip's softer side when we see Lip kissing his kids and getting into bed with his wife. The lighting of the scene is tinted blue, signaling that it's early morning and making the scene feel intimate, highlighting the love and care Lip has for his sleeping family. Later on, we also get to see the house lit yellow, indicating Lip's home life is warm and loving. Green and yellow lighting are often used in the same scenes to make characters stand out. For example, when Lip and Shirley get out of jail and they get into an argument. It's an emotionally climactic moment. The shot focuses on Shirley's face lit yellow from the car lights. The lighting allows us to better see Shirley's expression and emphasizes his feeling of loneliness by having him be the only thing lit in yellow. When they stop at a hotel after their argument, we see that the conflict has disrupted the harmony of their friendship. Lip is basking in green light while Shirley's tinted yellow. The shots have such different lighting that it almost makes you feel like they're in different rooms. Overall, Green Book's use of lighting and camera work allows us to better understand the characters performing on screen.
The editing style of Green Book plays a crucial role in how viewers experience the film. Edited by Patrick J. Donvito, the film uses a classical Hollywood style with a 2:1 aspect ratio, meaning the image width is twice its height. This approach emphasizes smooth and visible cuts that match the action happening in the plot. For example, Tony starts the car, then immediately cuts to the highway. This editing immerses viewers while highlighting Tony and Shirley's evolving relationship and road trip journey. The editing uses rhythmic pacing to mirror the characters' emotions. Slow cuts dominate intimate moments like Shirley playing the piano or Tony writing letters. In contrast, faster cuts heighten tension during confrontational scenes, such as ones in the segregated South. Montages also play a key role. They compress time during the road trip and show Tony and Shirley in various locations that visually reinforce their growing bond without relying on heavy scenes of dialogue. The film also uses the rule of thirds, which creates balance and intimacy and helps the visual composition. The rule of third divides the frame into balanced sections, allowing scenes to feel intimate and natural, and almost like a fly-on-the-wall perspective. Perspective shifts also help us connect both characters. For example, the cut between Tony writing letters at home and Shirley playing piano visually links Tony's desire for connection with Shirley's isolation, deepening their emotional complexity. Editing slows during emotional moments, such as Shirley being denied entrance to the restaurant where he's scheduled to perform. The camera lingers on reactions, forcing viewers to feel the discomfort in the scene. In contrast, tension rises like in the confrontational southern scenes. The editing becomes fast and more chaotic. Comedic moments like Tony teaching Shirley to eat fried chicken use quick, rhythmic cuts to heighten humor, whereas scenes like Shirley's YMCA arrest slow down, making us sit in the unease and reflect on the injustice happening in the film.
Hi everyone, I'm Kisun. I'm going to talk about Manson sequence and space design. First of all, I'm going to talk about its travel space in songs. From New York to Thornton's U.S. start as geography environment changes. As the season shift from bustling urban area to stoned plantation and ruins, this contrast enhance the culture and identity tension between two main characters, Tom and Dan. And I will talking about racial and cultural conflicts. Elegant consent hall vs shabby hotel. There surely discrimination in high-end values reflects the ironic related of racial inequality. And I'm going to talk about character styling and costumes. Don's feel should contrast sharply with Tony's casual wear. He always maintaining elegance and his attire also reflects his identity and his commitment to his own dignity. Tony's transformation from being untidy to gradually become neat, this reflects his inner growth and the process of respecting Don.
Mahershala Ali plays Dr. Don Shirley on the left, and Viggo Mortensen plays Tony Lip on the right. As an upper-class black musician and working-class Italian-American, their relationship is the primary focus throughout the film. Mortensen had to gain quite a bit of weight to play Tony Lip, as Tony engages in hot dog eating contests in order to win money. This shows Mortensen's intense dedication to the role, as he understands how important physical appearance is when acting. He presents himself to be careless yet confident through body language and tone of voice. He does this through a slouched posture, casual nonchalant swagger, assertive gestures, and a heavily slanged rapid speech. His thick Italian-American accent portrays his culture and class background. Mortensen has incredible comedic timing with his delivery of lines, as he authentically portrays aloofness. Tony Lip cuts off the end of others' sentences, speaking rapidly and carelessly, showing his arrogance and lack of education. However, his character evolves from being prejudiced and quite defensive into someone who finds empathy and great respect for Shirley. He evolves from being confrontational to protective and caring for Don's safety and well-being. Mahershala Ali portrays Dr. Don Shirley with such elegance and precision. His posture is always upright, taking up as much space as possible, without looking arrogant. His tone, language, and silences are deliberate and confident. His physical presence in a room and social emotional awareness reflects his upper-class background. He speaks with clarity and precision out of necessity, reflecting his strong intellect and self-control due to the severely racist environment he is in. His silences and strong eye contact show his confidence, yet also implies his internal uncertainty for safety. How Ali portrays Shirley through physical presence, precision with his diction, and intentional pauses shows his confidence and pride, yet also a lonely lifestyle as an upper-class black man in the 60s. The relational tension and distinct cultural divide between these two characters is truly what makes this film so interesting and such high stakes. Their relational growth delivers an endearing quality to this film as Tony becomes more empathetic and open-minded, and Don becomes more playful and trusting in humanity. I think both of these actors successfully play off each other, creating such a thought-provoking dynamic.
Hello, my name is Francesca Manson. I will be looking at sound and characterization through this presentation. So first starting with sound and how sound can play into storytelling. In the movie Green Book, music really helps tell the story. It's used in a lot of the scenes to help set the scene, set the timing, and I feel like it's even used especially in the in-between transition moments of the movie. There's a lot of use of classical jazz as well as 1960s pop music. Another use of storytelling is using silence. Silence is used during very tense scenes where it's used to kind of highlight the meaning of that scene and emphasize the emotional and social pressure and discomfort that is being taken place during that time and maybe bring to life what it feels like when somebody is experiencing racism. And lastly, sound is used during performances. In the movie, there are lots of live performances from Dr. Shirley that build into more than just performances and concerts, and they really show the pride and resistance, especially in the places where he's not always welcome, and kind of shows his artistry, his resistance, and builds into his identity and the identity battle that he fights throughout the movie. Looking at diegetic versus non-diegetic sound. So you are seeing lots of 1960s classical jazz for diegetic sound, 1960s pop soul, often from colored artists, kind of reflecting the historical content and realism that was experienced. Um, you are hearing things from radios, live performances. You're seeing it within hotels, restaurants, bars. Anytime the characters are walking into a location, there is music playing, kind of foreshadowing the movie and bringing the time to life. And looking at non-diegetic sound, we can see lots of violin is being used and other sounds being used to heighten the mood for that scene and also scenes to come. Next will be characterization, focusing on how the two main characters develop as the movie goes along. First, looking at Tony Vallelonga, also known as Tony Lip, he is introduced as a lower working class Italian American man who will do whatever it takes to support his family. In the movie, we can see that through finding a job immediately, doing a hot dog eating competition, even having sneaky plans within his own job to make extra money. He's a bit rougher around the edges, and he doesn't steer away from violence. In early scenes of the movie, we can see how Tony shows some racial biases, especially with friends and family members. A clear scene is when he's disgusted and throws out the cups of the black repairman that they drank from. I think this quote below really shows how the simplicity that Tony believes his life is at the beginning, which you can see Dr. Shirley help kind of turn that around throughout the movie. Dr. Shirley is the second main character, and he's a world class pianist who is wealthy and well educated. He can have some sarcasm in his statements, but he starts to kind of show how emotionally guarded he is through those statements. You can also see in the film how he is isolated and struggles with his identity. Through the film, he is rejected by both white and black communities for his class and race, and I think that this quote below shows is a really big turning point for him and kind of shows his feelings of isolation. And this moment can kind of show how his isolation leads to deeper problems that he has within his life. Looking at the character growth between the two, I think that both characters develop in the film and really help to influence each other and help to grow together. Tony helps Dr. Shirley stand up for himself more strongly, and Dr. Shirley helps Tony kind of with those racial biases and kind of with those experiences of what Dr. Shirley experiences. I think two powerful moments where I see growth is comparing Tony from the beginning of the film to their first stop in the South when they encounter police, and Tony experiences racism firsthand with a racist comment. And from that moment forwards, Tony is more receptive to the experiences and the injustices that Dr. Shirley experiences and begins to show his loyalty and actual respect for his friend. A moment I think is powerful for Dr. Shirley and his character growth is when he's eating fried chicken in the car with Tony. At first, he refuses to eat this as someone of his high class would never eat with their fingers, never eat in the car, grease, none of that. But then he lets go of those high class expectations, and it's really a moment where he connects with Tony on a deeper level, and it's definitely a really great experience where you can see him grow. I think both of these moments are super crucial and kind of start the moment that the characters continue to grow and develop with each other as the movie goes along.
The film's linear narrative closely mirrors the emotional progression between the two main characters. As they travel south from New York, the racial tension escalates in parallel with their physical journey, reflecting the historical reality that racism intensified the deeper they went into the segregated South. With each stop, the internal conflicts grow more severe, from social slights to legal threats, and so does the emotional friction between Tony and Dr. Shirley, gradually building toward a climactic moment in their relationship. One notable narrative choice is that the film is largely told from Tony's perspective, a white, lower working class man entering a world of black struggle. This makes the film more accessible to mainstream audience. Tony's involving viewpoint helps audience come from their own assumptions along the journey. The story presents two parallel emotional narratives: Tony's strong family ties and Dr. Shirley's emotional isolation. Tony frequently writes letters to his wife and talks about his children, showing a grounded identity and emotional support system. He's also very closely connected to his extended family. Most of the scenes in his home feature large gatherings filled with relatives, laughter, and conversation, creating a strong sense of belonging. In contrast, Shirley is portrayed as a living in personal solitude, disconnected from both black and white community, romantically isolated and dealing with a hidden sexual identity, as hinted at in the YMCA scene. He also mentions that he is divorced, having been unable to balance family and career, and says that he hasn't talked to his only brother for a long time, and they are no longer close. The title Green Book is far more than a plot device. It serves as a symbolic narrative anchor. It represents the constraints and dangers faced by Black Americans in 1960s. The book not only maps out where Dr. Shirley can safely stay, but also structures the geography of the journey itself, reinforcing the film's historical context and political undertone. By showing this early in the story, the film makes it clear that Shirley will face racism during the tour in the South. It helps us understand the history and gives a hint about the problems he will face later.